Today I'm doing something that I've honestly never done, and that's solo camp in the winter. It's a whole different ball game. And we're off to a great start because I can't find my winter gloves. I swear I just heard something. That's the only thing about being out here solo. Every bump in the night makes you a little bit nervous. Start to get sweaty, it's not a good thing. You either want to stop and put your clothes away or take a break. And I'm at that point right now, so I'm gonna take my coat off and pack it away in the pack. I'd rather be a little bit cold walking in than cold when I get to camp. It's also the point at which I should probably put on my snowshoes because the trail's about to get rough. Fire starter can be hard to come by this time of year, so seize the opportunity when it presents itself. My go-to winter camping is always Birch Park. Other than that, it can be really hard to find things. There are other options, but at least where I'm from, Birch Bark is plentiful. It's exactly the kind of stuff you want, just dangling off it. You don't want to go cutting it off a birch. Just take what you need. Maybe a little bit extra this time of year, because it's going to be tough getting the fire going. Another thing you can do is just unzip your layers. Working hard like this, could probably be in a t-shirt at this temperature. Definitely lots of fresh deer tracks around back here. Not going to be surprised at all if I end up running into some. This time of year, there's lots of streams that are still flowing, not quite fully frozen, and it's a good way to get a soaker up to your knee. I definitely wish I could have just taken a straight shot across the pond, because it would have been a hell of a lot quicker. But the ice isn't safe yet, at least in my opinion, so not worth the risk. So I think I found my home for the night. We got most of the elements I was looking for. It's pretty tucked into the bushes, not fully. There is still a nice view over the swamp that I can enjoy, although I think I'm going to be working too hard for that. And some of the other elements. We got some standing deadwood and a nice open spot for a fire pit. So I have plenty of room to store firewood and not light the bush on fire. We got some hardwood, although that's not much, but there's more around. First thing I want to do is pack down some trails because it's not fun getting around right now without the snowshoes. And pack down a spot for a fire pit. Next, we got to find a place to set the hammock up. That'll do. Make sure to check for any widowmakers above you before you set up. Especially right now, because the trees are still holding bits of snow, so the branches are especially weighed down, and it's a little bit windy. First tree I tried was a little bit too close to leave me any room for adjustment, so we had to switch it up and try a different tree. Can you tell it's been a while since I hammock camped? Goddamn dog and girlfriend. Although I am gonna miss them keeping me warm at night. When I'm tying out my hammock this time of year, I usually just use sticks and kind of push them down into the snow. I got the hammock all set up, got our underquilt, and I like to do 2 layers this time of year. I prefer the 2 layers just in case. I mean, it's only getting to, I think, -6 tonight. And that's what this quilt is rated for. I honestly haven't really had too much of a problem as long as you're wearing like a sweater and stuff like that to bed. Anyways, next order of firewood. That was a pain, but totally worth it. There's probably most of my good firewood for the night. Well, I'm pretty much done gathering firewood. Just a few little final touches. My favorite thing, other than the birch bark, is these little branches at the bases of pine trees. They're my go-to because they generally stay dry. They pretty much have all the little sizes that you need. All you do is start from the end. You can just pick them clean. That gets you started with your first size. And the next thing you do is tear down the branch itself, which gives you a gradually bigger size. For this time of year, I like bundles like that, about 8 to 10 inches long. Probably 2 of them at least, because I'm not really sure if everything is soaking wet or if this is gonna be dry. But a good indicator is if it snaps off super easily, that's great. If it bends at all, might not be so great. The next size I want to work with, something like this, close to the size of a finger. And I probably want at least an armful of something that size. That should do. The next thing I like to do, I like to find some pine bark and kind of build a little tray to get the fire going on, because I don't want the fire sinking down into the snow right away. I mean, it's going to happen eventually when the fire gets so hot. Probably see by the end of the night that there's a freaking crater where I had the fire. It's no big deal to a blazing fire to get a little bit of the snow, but when I'm getting the fire going, it's not a good thing. Next piece of advice, your big logs, I like to build the fire pit out of them. That way they're about as close to the fire as they can possibly be, drying out, getting prepped for when it's their turn to be burned. So the next order of business is to make myself a little seat, because I kind of forgot to bring a chair. Well, didn't really forget, but I figured I could make do with a snow mound and some snowshoes to sit on. Build it up a little bit. Snowshoes do make an all right shovel. Not a great shovel, but an all right shovel when you're in a pinch. Oh. Feels good enough to me. I'd sit on it. If you do decide to bring a camping chair, setting your camping chair up on your snowshoes is a game changer. Typical camping chairs, they just love to sink into the snow. Well, I think it's time we get this party started. And by that I mean let's get the fire going. That actually started up a lot easier than I thought it would. Although I saved the driest stuff for starting the fire. Everything's coated in water pretty much 24/7. And the Feast de la Resistance. We'll see if we can burn that one in half. That was just one of the last logs I grabbed, and I was getting tired of cutting wood. You can definitely see the edges of the crater starting to form at this point, and I keep shuffling the big logs that I formed the fire pit with closer together to keep them over the fire and drying out, because those are going to be the hardest ones to burn. If they do burn, I'm all set. They'll burn for hours. And this feels so good. It's been a while since I've actually got out and done something. I'm super happy to be getting out and being out in the bush. I feel like sometimes I take a lot of this stuff for granted. I grew up being out in the bush and having fires in the winter and camping all summer. It's just hard to beat the feeling of being out in the forest a little bit of time alone, and having the confidence and the skills makes you feel like a strong person to just get out here and do this kind of stuff. I swear I just heard something. That's the only thing about being out here solo. Every bump in the night makes you a little bit nervous. Oh well, I'm sure it was nothing. Good morning. That was By far the best sleep I've had winter camping. I slept like a baby once I fell asleep. Not excited to get out this morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Well, that's the crater we ended up with. Thought about hanging out for the day, but I know it's supposed to rain. It was raining when I first woke up around 6 or something. So I'll probably just hike out of here this morning. God, I love snake skins. Should be a lot easier walking out than it was on the way in. Famous last words though, right? So far, so good on the hike out. I feel like it's going a little bit faster now that I have a bit of a trail pack down. It's probably going to take me about an hour or so to get out of here with these conditions. I remember this part from the way in. It was a little bit of a sketchy hop. Still lots of water flowing right now. Dog or wolf? Be surprised if somebody was walking their dog back here, and I don't see any human prints to go along with it, so I'm assuming it's a wolf or a coyote. You can see another one up here. As recent as last night because it's on top of my snowshoe print. But from the size, I'm guessing it's a coyote. If it was a wolf, it'd probably be a lot bigger. I've seen a lot of wolves and coyotes in the wild. Never really had anything but cool experiences with them. Stop and check you out for a minute maybe, and then trot away. Well, I made it back onto the easy part of the trail. So I think it's pretty safe to say we're gonna make it out. Anyways, get out there for some adventures of your own. They're waiting for you.